I still get notification for old videos. I just delete from Facebook.
All right.
Too much of a pain.
We are officially live. Live than motherfucker. Gonna be starting shortly. Oh, is this new?
What's that?
This background music.
Yeah, it's another. So DJ Grumble was one of the guys who always does instrumentals, and that's just one of his new ones that just came out. So I just every time he drops one, I just add it to like my podcast playlist.
I like it. It's very sultry. So kind of reminiscent of like Summer Madness.
What's Summer Madness?
You know what Summer Madness is?
Mm-mm.
Oh man.
Who's that by?
I mean, I feel like I should know. Kool in the Gang. It's by Kool in the Gang. And you know Will Smith's song Summertime,
Mm-hmm.
it uses that as a sample. So you hear it in the background of Summertime, but it's also its own song.
That's why he says it's a pure definition of Summer Madness.
There you go. Exactly.
You learn something every day.
Maybe that should be my
somebody's method lesson. My method lesson.
I ain't got one yet.
I learned that today.
I gotta figure something out before we get there.
Well, feel free to use a life hack if if you don't come up with one. That's why I bought the book.
Let me see it. On your feet. Get rid of nighttime coughs by putting vapor rub on your feet and then placing socks over them. Your cough will stop within minutes.
Interesting. All right.
Put Vicks on your feet.
Somebody here got to try it. Somebody listening to this got to try it, or somebody on this podcast got to try it and let me know. Otherwise, how you gonna know if it's a life hack?
Let me choose one up in here.
1,000 of them.
Go to the back. Survival. Okay, I like that.
You can only try all of these once.
Right. If they don't work, you
are dead. That's not right. That's not. If you ever get trapped underwater in your car, use your car seat's headrest to break the window. What if you? So you're trying to tell me I gotta push the button and try to get my headrest off?
Complicated.
They are complicated.
No, well, I think if you think of it first, I think you'll be all right. Because there's metal on the bottom of it, so you could definitely break the window.
It's definitely
you just push the button
like two prongs, so it would break the glass.
Right, you just push the button and slide it up. So it.
Can I fold this page? Or can I put something there?
That's fine. Go ahead.
Are you gonna use it for your method lesson?
I might, but
all right.
What if you got shit in your back seat and you can't pull it down and put it to the right position?
Right. Yeah. If you are already underwater, you probably fucked. But if you like on the way, if your car just hit the water, you could probably.
You could be like, yo, let me get out, put some of this shit in the trunk. Put some of this shit in the trunk.
Right.
I get some shares out. You haven't got shares out.
Yeah, I did.
What's good, people? Anybody in the comments say what's up? We're gonna start a podcast real soon. We're gonna be talking about mansplaining, and I promise we won't mansplaining.
I don't know. We might
just say we won't mansplain.
Apparently,
I just mansplain you.
No, that wasn't mansplaining. We're gonna define what mansplaining is, because I feel like
it's so convoluted.
Yeah,
convoluted.
Yeah, and it's been around since like at least 2010. That's when the word became popularized. I don't remember the exact time.
It was 2:45.
Go to the comments.
It was 2:45 in the afternoon.
I was trying to go into this thing, man, myself, and be able to be a co-host.
What about co-host?
On StreamYard, they said that I can co-host and help from my own login.
Okay.
But I'm not going to worry about it.
So So there was something published on April 13th, 2008 that was called Men Explain Things to Me. Facts didn't get in their way. So that's one of the first publications, I guess, about mansplaining, but it doesn't actually use the word mansplaining. And then apparently it stemmed from there. Like a month later, somebody or something like that used the word mansplain.
Nope.
Yeah. That's true right there. Look at that.
Lizzo is so beautiful. Why do women get mad anytime I tell them you look like Lizzo?
I said I wasn't even going to touch that.
That's not nice.
I wasn't even going to touch that, man.
Yeah.
All right, man.
That's also, is that a white dude saying that?
Yeah. I was like, I ain't gonna touch that one.
Yeah, he's on the bad side of
like you want to laugh, but at the same time, it's like, I probably shouldn't. Can they hear us? Yeah.
All right.
All right, man.
I have finished my beer.
Dang, that was quick.
Yeah, I like beer.
Let's do a podcast, bro.
Let's do a podcast.
Take a seat and put your feet up. We gon' meet up. Sit with me and sip some tea with Remy Mulatto. Give me bottles of Hennessy and Moscato. They had enough already, but there's plenty to follow. I stay poetic, but Jay noetic, remaining effective. Conversation getting heavy, staying respected, playing the record, maintaining collective. Saying what you thinking, ain't no place for rejection. I claim it, I meant it. It's mostly everybody talking honestly over drinks. Tell me what you think. It's mostly everybody talking honestly over drinks. So tell me what you think. It's mostly everybody talking honestly over drinks. Tell me what you think. It's mostly everybody talking honestly over drinks. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think.
Hey, welcome to a Method Podcast. I'm Jay Noetic.
I'm Remy Mulatto.
I'm Justin E. Banks.
Hey, this season that shit on our minds.
And shit to talk.
And shit that needs to be said.
And y'all know that the best way for us to talk that shit
is to have mostly everybody
talking honestly over drinks. And that's what we call a motherfucking method. Hey, man.
Right.
Welcome to another episode. This week we are talking about mansplaining. But before we get into all that, if it's your first time listening and watching a Method Podcast, and you're watching it on YouTube and Spotify, please hit that subscribe button. We're trying to grow. We cannot grow without you. So subscribe, notifications, like button. If you're watching this live like we do every Wednesday, we truly appreciate you. But we need you to comment throughout the show.
Yeah, we want to talk to y'all.
Share that shit.
We want to talk to y'all today. This is an open conversation today.
This is an interactive episode right here.
Absolutely, man. Method move, bro. Method move. How are you gents feeling this week? How's your week going? I know personally, I'm feeling pretty damn good. I'm in vacation mode.
Okay.
You know, I leave for Mexico tomorrow.
I feel you.
Yeah, so it's my first time going to Mexico, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. There's about 8 of us going. Yeah, man. I'm just work this week has been kind of slow, which is good, but I also was on call like on Monday. So I got called throughout the whole night. And you know, like the day of like the week you have vacation, you ain't trying to do no work.
Nah.
You know, so I'm like, I'm getting calls at 2:00 in the morning. I'm like, come on. So it's been, So I'm in a good week though. I'm always in a good week for when I got a vacation. How y'all feeling?
It's always something trying to fuck up vacation.
Always.
Yeah, for real.
Always. We ain't gonna let it though.
I'm feeling pretty good though. You know, I'll say my week has been pretty good so far. Work and everything is good. I'd say the best way to describe my mood would be excited.
Excited. You got a big trip coming up too.
Did you say
excited?
angst?
I said excited. I just made up a word right on y'all. I just made up a word on y'all.
Excited.
Excited.
Hold on, let me see
How you
if I
spell
can
that word?
Excited.
I-C. Nope, I don't know. I can't spell it.
I made up a word earlier. I mean, a few days ago. I'll use that for my method lesson. I ain't gonna say what it is. I made up two words. Okay, so what you excited about?
So it's anxious and excited, right? So I'm kind of anxious about the long flight, but that I'm about to take. I'm going to Japan on Friday, and but I'm excited about the trip. So a little anxious about being in the plane for 13 hours.
It's your,
But,
I'm gonna live
I mean-
vicariously through you because I ain't never done a flight that long. So
Yeah. I think the longest one I ever been on has been about 4.5, 5 hours.
So-
But 13 is a whole nother animal. So
So the longest flight I did was to Ireland, and I don't know how long that was, but I know flying is one of those things that like once you on the plane for fucking 3 hours, you just like, all right, this is life now. Like it just becomes normal. So about 3 hours in, you're not even gonna think about it no more. You're probably just gonna sleep a lot.
yeah,
Fuck right. Just have a lot to do. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
What you gonna do on the plane?
I hope they got some Wi-Fi. I don't know.
we better
They should-
download a lot of shows, motherfucker.
If they don't have Wi-Fi, I feel like you can file a complaint. 13
Yeah.
hours and no
Yeah.
Wi-Fi? That's
That's
who the
that's
fuck
like
is running
criminal,
there? Like, yeah. Don't do that to us.
So,
Mm.
yeah.
Could you imagine back in the day, motherfuckers flying with no Wi-Fi?
Well, they was also smoking.
They
though,
was
when-
smoking.
They was smoking.
They had to smoke. What else was they gonna do?
for real. You know what I'm
Could you
saying?
imagine smoking?
Jesus Christ.
Somebody smoking on the airplane, bro.
Yeah, I
I mean,
remember.
at the
I remember
time-
when I was a kid.
It was just normal
People
though.
just smoking on the
People
plane.
smoked on the plane and they smoked everywhere else.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
People just smoking on the.
It's a rough time.
You been in a restaurant, people just smoking next to you.
Yeah.
You know
Every
what I
time
mean?
I see someone now who's a smoker, I'm like, oh, people still
Yeah.
do smoke. I'm always surprised by it. Remy, how you feeling this week, man? Shout out to Miko Sparks.
Hey,
listening all the way from
How you say
Japan.
that word?
Man.
Kanagawa?
Kanagawa.
I don't
think.
know. But
Yeah.
It sounds racist. No, I'm just
Remy, when you put it in anxiety, you put it in all four of those, or they do
Yeah.
it by itself?
No, I posted it.
Oh, I'm about to say that. That's some skills. How you feeling,
So-
Remy?
Tons of movies. TV
today was-
shows.
Today was a pretty good day. Like work went well. Even though it was a fairly lax day, I didn't really work too hard. So I'm feeling pretty good today. I'm feeling like mansplaining.
We're gonna do some mansplaining like we always do.
Yeah.
Bro,
Was it a good day like Ice Cube?
It
Good
was-
day.
it was-
Or
It was
a good
better
day.
than Ice
it
Cube's
was
day.
better than Ice Cube.
Yeah, it was better than I didn't have
Okay.
to use my AK either.
Did the Lakers beat the Supersonics?
I mean they beat the Warriors. I heard they beat the Warriors.
Oh, they beat the Warriors, but they lost.
They
to
lost
the,
to
to
the-
Denver
to the-
Nuggets.
Yeah.
Hey, let's get into Method Movie, man.
Let's do it.
Alright, Method movie.
Like we always do about this time, we are going to play a little bit of Method Movie where I play a clip from the ether of the internet. And these two gentlemen and you method heads got to figure out what movie it is. Now, last week I gave these guys a gimme. It was super, super easy. They knew it within like the first few seconds.
Immediately.
So I'm hoping this time that I can stomp them because I don't think it's easy. I made sure to get a clip that didn't say any names of the characters. So we're going to see what happens. Method heads, you want to try to guess this before they do as well. All right. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let me turn my pad because Justin be cheating. All right. What movie?
Justin never cheated in his life.
I can't. I don't know enough not to say you did. All right. Where is it? Here we go. What movie is this?
You're one of Jack Crawford's, aren't you?
I know what this is.
I am, yes.
May I see your
I know
credentials?
exactly
Silence
what
of the
it is.
Lambs.
Certainly.
Yes. Let's play it out for a second. Play it out. Damn. That voice, man.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
voice.
That's Hannibal Lecter right there.
Closer, please. Closer.
She looks so young, Jodie Foster.
That expires in 1 week. You're not real FBI, are you?
I'm still in training at the academy.
Jack Crawford sent a trainee to me.
Yes, I'm a student. I'm here to learn
He
from you.
like they sent a snack.
Maybe you can decide for yourself whether or not I'm
He
qualified enough
sent
to
me
do
a
that.
nighttime snack.
Mm. What did he
That
say?
is rather slippery of you, Agent Starling. Sit, please.
So yeah, these guys got it right. Let me give you guys a hand clap, man. Let me find a hand clap. Damn, I'm gonna start choosing people who ain't got no distinctive voice.
What did Miggs say to you? Multiple Miggs.
All right, y'all got it right. Yes, that is Silence of the Lambs. Came out in y'all know what year it came out? If you had to guess, what year do you think it came out?
I think that came out like in, I want to say like 92, something like that.
I'm gonna say 95.
Pretty good guess. Came out in 1991. 1991, starring Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster. That voice you hear is who? What character is that?
That's Hannibal Lecter.
Dr. Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal the Cannibal.
Like Ariana just mentioned there, that movie. They should have
What up,
called that
cuz?
movie the Hannibal Lecter Show.
For real, for real.
Silence of the Lambs just sounds so gangster. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Do you know there was a Sound of the Lambs before this version of Sound of the Lambs?
Oh, that's a remake.
Yeah.
Interesting.
With Buffalo Wild Bill. But anyway, I feel like Dr. Hannibal Lecter had to be one of the best psychos ever.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Like
Yeah.
in the history of lore, like suspense and like whatnot.
Yeah, because he's an intellectual.
Yeah.
Who also just likes eating motherfuckers and talking about it.
Yeah, it was crazy.
He
Like,
just
he ain't
kills
scared
you
of shit.
because he's smarter than you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, and he can get you to do whatever he needs you to do, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, he's a far cry from like
Yeah.
Michael Myers.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Myers
Yeah.
just walk up on you.
That's
bitch.
That's a whole
Who didn't,
different.
Hannibal
Yeah.
Lecter didn't even talk at all. Hannibal Lecter was like a
Right.
conversationalist.
Yeah.
Motherfucker
Yeah.
have
Like,
a
I'm
whole
a-
conversation with you.
I think he would tell motherfuckers what he was gonna do to him. Like, I'm gonna eat your brains later, just so you know.
Yeah.
Did
They'd be
y'all,
like, they'd be like, "You so crazy."
He's so
did y'all ever see the HBO version of Hannibal? It was literally called Hannibal, and it was so fucking good.
There's a show.
Yeah, he did HBO or
Was it three
Showtime.
shows?
Yeah,
Is that what
Are
she's
you
talking
the
about?
Hannibal show?
If you
yes,
watch
if
the
you watch
show,
the
it's
show,
called
it's called
Hannibal.
Hannibal. It was amazing, and they made Hannibal like when he was a psychiatrist, and he wasn't in jail, so they didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
And like in some of the scenes, he would have having these fancy dinners,
Mhm.
and as the watcher that the food that he's preparing
Is
are people.
Yeah.
But the people at dinner have no idea.
Yeah.
And they're like eating the meat, and this is like, oh my,
Yeah.
visually it's just crazy.
Damn.
I might have to check that out.
No, that's pretty
That
good.
might be some plane material right there.
It might be. So the budget
Is
for
it cool to watch Hannibal on the plane?
cool to watch it anywhere.
Is that?
You don't
Anywhere.
need something like that to watch. Yeah, you might as well binge a whole show.
I think the people next to me, people sitting next to me, would be like, "All right, we're not talking to this guy. We're not gonna talk to this
They
guy."
might-
What is he watching?
They might love it.
Yeah.
So the budget for the movie was $19 million. That was the budget in 1991. How much do you think it made? If it heads, how much do you think it made? Budget was
think-
19 million.
19 million. I think it made like 200, maybe.
I'm gonna say 50.
I always go high. I don't know why.
You shooting low today, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But they made 272 million.
Wow.
Yeah, there we go.
272 million. The number one movie in 1991. I'm gonna give you one hint. The hint is T-1000.
Terminator.
Two.
Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Terminator 2. It did $525 million worldwide.
Mhm.
So that's what's up, man. So real quick history. 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer is arrested on July 22nd after the remains of 11 men and boys are found in his Milwaukee, Wisconsin apartment. Was it an apartment and not a home?
It
Yeah.
was an apartment.
You ever watched the show?
I never watched the show. He was in the.
Oh,
he had
man.
him in the walls.
The show was crazy.
No,
No. He
no.
just had him in the house.
In the house.
In barrels. In the house.
And
Like,
his neighbor could
What?
smell that shit, and she was freaking out, like
Yeah.
telling people, and
she
wasn't
was
nobody
calling the
paying
cops
attention.
like over and over and over, and they were just like, "No, it's cool."
He kept him in his
Yeah.
apartment, bro. I didn't. I didn't
He
watch
wasn't
the
like
show.
a genius. He was.
Nah.
He wasn't.
He wasn't like
He was
that.
not,
He wasn't
yeah.
like Hannibal Lecter.
No.
He is the epitome of white privilege.
Yeah.
But
He got
if you-
stopped by the cops so many times, and they just
Yeah.
let him go.
If you watch any of those documentaries on like the white serial killers, if it would have been a black person, they would have had him.
They would have had him
immediately.
the first time.
because
Yeah.
because they're white. They was like, oh no, he can't be the one doing that. You know, it's like, bro, you had him the whole time.
Mhm.
Whole time. Gas was $1.12 in 1991,
Yeah.
Wow.
and a dozen eggs cost 85 cents.
Damn.
It's crazy, man.
85 cents.
The eggs is the
85
thing I'm
cents.
tripping
That's
on right
ridiculous.
now.
Yeah, because what's
I'm
it?
paying
Eggs like
I'm
$30
paying
now,
like-
right?
Yeah, for real. I'm
If you
paying
buy-
like
if you buy-
$6 at least.
Yeah, if you buy the pasteurized eggs, it's like $9.99.
Yeah.
I buy
get
a
the
carton.
cage.
I buy the carton egg whites. Liquid egg whites is what
Yeah.
That's like $9.
I'm fancy. I get like the cage free one.
Cage free.
You know what I mean?
I was in Publix the other day
My-
and I saw quail eggs.
Yes,
I saw
it's
them
so
too.
small though.
I saw them too. They like this big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think quail eggs are meant to be
You know what they
scrambled,
look
though.
like? They look like them little chocolate
they-
eggs
it's
that
more
come out of
Yes,
Easter.
yes, they
Like,
do.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's more yolk, so I feel like it would scramble better. You know what I mean?
It's more yolk in
Yeah,
there, but it's
the
so
yolk
small,
is bigger. The yolk compared to the whole egg is more. You know what I mean?
I ain't never
Yeah,
never had no
But it's like bite size, and
yeah,
I
I love,
imagine
I
it
love
would be
egg whites
expensive.
too.
I don't know who that is, but they love egg whites.
I know that it is. We appreciate that. All right,
Shout out to
man.
egg whites.
Yeah. Shout out to the egg.
Are we doing
whites.
Method Weekly this week? You got some
Yeah,
shit?
we could do the
All right, let's do the Method Weekly.
Method Weekly. All right, live from the Method Podcast news desk. So on this week, we're gonna talk about my boy Ja Morant. What I don't know what's
Oh
going
my
on with this
God.
guy,
Oh,
man.
boy.
Like he's like he has the world in his hands. Like he's you know, if you
got
don't know
the
who it
whole world in his
Yeah.
hands. He got the. Let me stop.
is, if you don't know who this is a 23-year-old NBA superstar, right? He two-time All-Star,
Two-time
Rookie of the Year, and he keeps getting caught waving guns in public.
Yeah.
You know, he
Yeah.
most recently, first time that it happened was in March. He was on video waving a gun in the club, and he got suspended for like 8 games.
And then he went to
And then,
counseling.
yeah, he went to counseling. He apologized. It
Yeah.
never happened again. All that kind of stuff. And then there was a Instagram video. It was actually a live. He was on one of his
Excuse
friends
me.
was on Instagram live.
Yeah, one of his homeboys.
And,
Or
yeah, he was doing the same thing. You know, so
here's my thing on it. Yes, visually, the optics look bad, but technically, he ain't
he's
broke
not
no
doing
law.
nothing. Yeah,
He hasn't broken any
well,
law.
maybe in the club. Because I don't think he's.
What
supposed
was
to
the
have
first thing that he did that
The
got him in
same
trouble?
thing. He had a gun in the
it. Gun in
club.
the
He just had a gun in the
Yeah,
club.
that's
And in
the
this
club,
one,
waving in
he's
the
not supposed to be.
shit.
He's not supposed to be around guns, but
Yeah.
that's not the law saying that.
Yeah.
That's just the
But-
NBA saying you shouldn't be doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly. But see, this is the thing though. Like somebody in his position, like you so marketable to everybody.
For sure,
Like that's
for sure.
that's destroying your image because they look at you as like kind of glorifying,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mhm.
gun
Gun
culture
For sure.
and all that kind of stuff.
For sure.
So, you know, he got his own like signature Nike shoe. He just got
He just
named-
got paid.
he just got-
paid.
yeah,
big
he
bucks
just
with-
got paid, got a huge contract, and he just got named like the face of Powerade. You know what I mean? So like he's getting crazy
They
endorsements.
haven't
So essentially-
they haven't dropped him yet,
Yeah,
though, right?
So essentially,
Yeah,
so essentially,
exactly. That's the
he got all these endorsements and he's playing with it. He's playing with his
Yeah.
own money
yeah,
by fucking around on social media.
he signed a 5-year,
Yeah, pretty much.
$194 million
Public places.
contract.
Yeah. So my question for you guys is: do you think this is being blown out of proportion, or do you think that the ridicule is deserved? What
I
y'all
think the NBA is a company. And if you work as a player for the NBA, this kind of thing is going to happen. It'd be one thing if he was just like a street baller or something like that. But the NBA
Yeah.
is the NBA, and like look at
Who tries to have a cookie cutter image?
right,
Yeah.
yeah. Like that's kind of their thing with all their players. Like look at what Michael Jordan was. He was like for the most part, a shining example of a dude. He never got into no trouble, never did anything
Yeah.
crazy, nothing like that. Just basically played basketball and lived his life. And now, he's a billionaire. So like
Mhm.
it sets you on the right path, but you're gonna fuck up your money if you play too much. And how old is Ja Morant?
21,
23. 23. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
we did
mean,
fucked up shit at
Yeah,
23.
me at 23
He's
was a
playing
fucked
with
up-
fire.
Yeah,
Shit.
I was a fucked up individual at 23.
I mean, at one point,
Somebody
I
said-
was too.
Yeah.
I was.
somebody on the internet
But,
said
yeah.
Ja Morant need Coach Carter.
yeah.
I think I got locked up at 22 for a day, so I was doing super shit too.
You
So,
got locked up at 22 for a day?
Who the fuck are you?
because baby, I'm a thug.
What?
Yeah, I
I'm gonna
did.
need
know
to hear
what I
that
mean?
story one day.
I thought I told you that story.
I don't think so.
But yeah, the NBA at one point, remember, was getting very hood. You had all the dudes wearing bandanas.
That was back when
They
I
had
was
the hoodies, the sagging pants at interview, the bling bling, the cornrows.
That's when they put in the suit rule.
The suit
you had to
rule.
wear a suit to the game and all that stuff. Yeah.
So the NBA had worked really hard to have this really great image, but I don't think they should like suspend him for a year or anything. Like just the season's over with. Take some of his money. They can go back to council and whatnot. But more importantly, though, he has to change his circle.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the hardest thing.
That was another
for him
question
to do.
I had for y'all. How much of the blame do you put on his friends?
His friends are probably young, dumb, full of cum as well.
Yeah.
Right? They're not. His friends should have known better. But
this is the thing. His friends ain't got shit to lose.
They ain't got shit to lose. I'm sure that dude who recorded that video knew what was going to happen when he was recording it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure Job, like, man, fuck that shit. I don't care about no NBA. What you gonna do? Take my money? What? You know how you talk shit? He's like,
yo, I'm the hottest thing smoking right now. You can't, you know what I mean?
It's all a game until it ain't a game no more.
Yeah, exactly. It's all a game until you ain't put in.
Yeah.
You know, until you on the bench.
I do wonder if he was a white athlete, would it be getting blown up out of proportion or being talked about?
I think
I won't say like it's blown out of proportion, but would it be getting talked about as much as it is?
I think absolutely not.
I can't even picture it.
Well, see, this is the thing.
I can't even picture a white athlete.
This is the thing. There's white athletes all the time that are in videos with guns, out hunting, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but that's okay. Like the proper gun use.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like if you just got the shit in your car and you just like
and
black niggas like
black
can't
men
do that.
Black men can't have no guns.
Yeah,
we can't do nothing. We got to be President Obama.
So I'll say this: if I'm in the car with somebody and they just pull out a gun,
I'm gonna be concerned. I'm getting out the car.
I'm getting out the car.
Yeah.
I'm not with that. I've seen Pulp Fiction too many times.
What is happening?
Yeah.
This what we doing? Yeah, Pulp Fiction. That's a perfect.
Well, I do hope that
I'm about to slap him in the backseat. Put my head all over the goddamn windshield.
I do hope that he gets the right people around him so that does not happen anymore. And I hope that he has at some point learned his lesson before he loses his opportunity. And I guess the thing is this: even if Memphis decided to cut him, which they won't do,
because somebody else
gonna pick him up.
They're gonna pick him up. Yeah.
They're gonna pick him up. He's just too much of a talent.
Yeah,
and he hasn't broken any law. He ain't beat nobody.
It ain't like he shot somebody.
Yeah. What you have, Remy, for Method Weekly?
So I don't know. I hate to just share Twitter news, but that's what I'm gonna do. It said somewhere, if I can find my motherfucking notes, according to Daily Loud on Twitter, Drake sleeps on a $395,000 mattress made out of horsehair and stingray skin.
What?
And that makes me laugh because
wait.
If I was to think of a joke,
don't even sound comfortable.
Did you say horsehair?
If I was to think of a joke about what
like, shut up, you sleeping on horsehair and stingray skin.
It wouldn't be as good as horsehair and stingray skin. What the fuck? And then they show it's like black. The picture they showed.
Let me look at the picture.
Let me see if I can find it.
They had an actual picture of it.
Picture that I saw.
That looked like some luxury shit right there.
That looks kind of fly though.
It's kind of sexy, yeah.
So the mattress.
The stingray skin look like it's around the base.
The frame.
It's the frame.
It's around the frame.
Like.
That's goofy for the frame to be made out of stingray though. Like you don't even put your body on that part.
Like, would you want to sleep on the skin though? Like, really?
I mean, I'm
like,
sure
what is this?
I'm sure it's not comfortable.
Stingray skin, baby.
Yeah.
How many stingrays were killed?
Shorty lay on the bed, like, you on stingray, girl.
You know what I'm saying?
That's horsehair right there.
Damn.
I feel bad for the horses and the stingrays.
Yeah. That don't even sound comfortable.
It does not sound comfortable at all.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, we are some regular motherfuckers.
You just, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I just don't know.
That mattress is definitely worth more than my condo.
I mean, it got to be comfortable to a certain extent. If he paying, how much did you say? How much it cost?
$395,000. $395,000.
Almost
$500,000.
What the hell could you do to a mattress to make it worth almost more than a quarter of $1 million?
More than most people's houses.
Make it out of horsehair and
make it out of horsehair, yeah.
Get a bunch of horses and stingrays.
I think that's when you reach a level of you have too much money to know what to do with.
Yeah.
Because no one really needs a $395,000.
Well, you heard his last song. This nigga trying to get rescued. He's afraid out here, so he's buying horsehair and stingray
Crazy.
beds.
Crazy.
Like, don't shoot me, baby.
Poor
I
Drake.
let you sleep on the horse.
I'm gonna pray for Drake.
We
Everybody
gonna
pray for Drake.
We gonna pray for Drake. Y'all good? Got anything else?
That's it.
I don't have anything. I was going to talk about or ask about Jamie Foxx, but
Oh yeah, Jamie Foxx was something happened.
so
I
just
don't
quick
know the
thoughts.
details,
So quick
but-
thoughts with Jamie Foxx has some health medical condition issues, and they weren't really talking about where he was or what was going on with him. So of course, Twitter and social media is going crazy
Right, they blew it
about
up.
him being
Blew it out of
alive or being
proportion.
about to dead. Do y'all? What's your thoughts? Like, do we as fans have the right to insider information?
Nah,
Like, I don't understand why
I don't
people get
think
so, conspiracy theory and he need to come on TikTok or do a video so we can see that he okay. Like, who are we?
Yeah,
Right.
I don't think so. I mean, when it comes down to it, that man is a he's a normal man who has a family, and they deserve to be able to go through whatever they're going through
For
without
sure.
everybody in their business. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So that's how I
Indeed.
feel about it.
Indeed.
And I mean, we don't know. Like, everybody just speculating on what's going on. So,
Everybody's speculating.
Oh, they here. Everybody here for the method message.
All right, man, let's do it.
Guys do this. The bottom line is this, lady.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Calm down a bit here, Kelly.
If it's a legitimate rape,
Let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all.
You've probably seen some of these cringeworthy moments before. They span from politics to pop culture, but they have one thing in common: a wildly overconfident man interrupting, shushing, and holding forth on a topic that he might not be the most qualified spokesman for. This phenomenon has become known as mansplaining. It's the word that's launched 1,000 think pieces, including a few that are clearly over it. But we wondered, what does the science have to say about it? Back in 1984, a study observed that female doctors were more than twice as likely to be interrupted by patients than their male counterparts. A 2004 study found that men at Harvard Law were more than 50% more likely to comment in class and 144% more likely to speak up more than twice. And it happens in the workplace. A 2012 study found that when tasked with a group decision by majority vote, women spoke less than 75% as much as men. The media is not much better. A 2012 study found that men write 80% of traditional opinion pieces and 67% of them online. And the data shows that while there are fewer men than women on Twitter, men are retweeted more than twice as often. What the science shows is that mansplaining isn't an overused word flaming the gender wars. It's a cultural reference point that illustrates how women are more likely to be interrupted, less likely to speak, and are continuously robbed of the benefit of the doubt. It explains a nagging, sinking uncertainty that millions of smart, capable women feel all too frequently. And we can definitely use some more words for that.
All right. That's enough of that.
All right.
That's enough of that. We are at war, okay? And I'm not talking about Russia or Ukraine. I'm not talking about man versus machine with the generative AI. I'm talking about the war on men. Okay? The war on men. Listen, Andrew Tate got locked up. Kevin Samuels, they killed Kevin Samuels.
They won't
let Donald Trump be president again. Women need to be stopped. But they got us by the balls, and they keep coming up with clever terms to make us feel bad. I don't appreciate that. So today, we're going to talk about mansplaining.
Let's grab him by the pussy. Can we grab him by the pussy?
No, let's not. No,
Let's grab him by the pussy.
We ain't
Oh,
doing
no.
that. We ain't doing that.
no.
Nah.
So,
Okay.
So yeah, mansplaining.
we're going to talk about mansplaining today.
So with the point that the video just made about the Twitter thing,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just because men are more likely to post nonsense that's more tweetable. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, most of the shit I post on Twitter doesn't necessarily deserve a retweet, but it'll get it.
it's all Twitter. It's
It'll
all
get
yeah,
it.
exactly. It's all
Yeah.
Twitter fodder. You
Yeah,
know,
because it's not information.
yeah, not at all.
You know, but I think the point about mansplaining is about the information. So, what is mansplaining to y'all?
Well, I just started hearing the word a couple years ago, right?
Mhm.
And looking up information for this podcast episode, I realized mansplaining came around in what 2000. It's been around for like
About
8 years,
2008.
9 years.
2008 was kind of when it was first referenced.
It started with Kanye West.
I didn't even think about that one.
It probably did.
So for me, I feel like mansplaining is when a man is talking to a woman in a condescending way, or like maybe they are not smart enough, intelligent enough about the topic, about the situation, even though the woman might have said this is her opinion on it, and men say, no, that's not right. That's not correct. Right? This is how it really is, or et cetera, et cetera. So for me, I feel like that's what mansplaining is, but I also don't think that is what women is calling mansplaining, which I'll talk about later.
So in my mind, I had the definition totally wrong from what I've.
Okay, what'd you think it was?
I thought it was like you know how like a woman will say something, right, and then I'll just say the same shit but in a different way.
Okay. Oh yeah.
You
like
know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
Like if you say, "Hey, I see what you're saying," and I'd be like, "Yeah, you see what I'm saying," right? That's kind of.
Well, that's not mansplaining, is it though?
Well, I mean,
could that be mansplaining?
I think that is understandsplaining.
If you say it and then preface it and then like twist it to where it comes out as your original idea. That's mansplaining.
I think that absolutely is mansplaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's probably the problem in the workspace that we'll talk about as well. Well,
yeah,
so what's your definition?
That's where it becomes dangerous. So the definition of mansplaining is
what's your definition of it?
What do I think mansplaining is?
Yeah.
Well, I think that mansplaining
anything that comes out of Remy's mouth.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't think I am typically accused of mansplaining accurately. I feel like a lot of times I'm considered a mansplainer simply because I am explaining and I am a man. And as a man, I like to explain things. Even not as a man. If I was a woman, I would probably still like explaining things.
As a person.
To me, I want to be understood.
Absolutely.
And it's not really about trying to tell it. Like what I won't do is I won't tell somebody else about some shit that I definitely don't know. But I'll tell you what I think. You know what I'm saying? It's just my opinion. So I think that's where it gets twisted a little bit. Is if you're like trying to share what you think is information or important information or knowledge about something or whatever, versus the person who probably knows more about you. Who the fuck are you talking to? I'm just sharing my opinion. And I feel like that's fine, you know?
No, I mean, I think it is fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But what mansplaining is to comment on or explain something to a woman in a condescending, overconfident, or often inaccurate or oversimplified manner. Yeah. But also, from the women who latch to it on the things and mold it to their advantage. It is anything a man has to say that women don't like, agree with, or want to hear. I don't think every woman has license to label mansplainers. So
I think the problem is there's too many definitions of mansplaining.
So
I mean, there really is just one, but
there is only one, but
it gets attached to a lot of different
things. And
Ebony agrees with my definition.
I'm gonna say something very controversial here, and this is just my opinion. This is just my perspective.
You about to mansplain?
There we go.
No,
explaining
yourself is not mansplaining.
By the way, real quick,
that's something we need to talk about. Like we are allowed to talk about our opinions and our perspective.
It says on the internet, when men mansplain to each other, that's called a podcast.
Yeah, pretty much.
There are a lot of people doing that.
Yeah,
I feel that on social media, there are a lot of women trying to silence men, and I truly believe that. And I say this from my perspective. This is of someone who no longer voices my opinion on social media anymore,
right?
Because I don't feel like my opinion or my voice doesn't really matter anymore. Yeah. And the moment I say how I feel or talk about how I feel, it becomes controversial as me, a man, trying to control the narrative or whatnot. So I found that in my personal experience, again, I'm not saying it's all women, right? But I was talking in
just most of y'all.
And
I'm just playing.
Yeah, but I'm talking shit. But that's just how I feel. So y'all don't feel like y'all are allowed, or do you feel like you can say how you feel on social media?
No, absolutely not.
I think in real life, we know that in our own personal lives, the women that we have in our lives are very understanding and listening and allows us to talk and how we feel.
Yeah.
But that's not the case on social media.
No, not at all. You know, if you don't agree with what's being said, or you don't go along with the certain narrative that might be on a post or whatever, you always get the response, "Oh, you just don't believe that because you ain't shit." Like, really? You know?
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's pretty much my take on it.
And that makes you feel like, well, why should I say anything at all if it's just going to be taken in a negative light? And I do think, obviously, there are a lot of assholes on there. There are a lot of men on social media who are mansplaining or being dicks and being, you know, gender bias or whatnot. But that's not the most. I don't think that's most men. And then a lot of the men in my circle, when I ask them that question, don't feel like they can say how they feel on social media without being ridiculed.
Do you feel like you?
He just said that.
Yeah, definitely.
You disagree, Remy?
I
think Remy's just like, I'm gonna say that shit anyway.
Well, because for me, I say what I need to say where I need to say it. So like, I don't the things that I say on Twitter, I don't say on Facebook. But that's not necessarily because I think it'll be scrutinized differently. I just feel like nobody wants to hear that shit. What I have to say on Twitter. So,
but maybe someone does though.
Part of I think what I experience with what you're talking about is like, if I share an opinion and then I get pushback, I want to hear more of what this person has to say, because I want to know what is wrong with what I said. If you can't explain it to me, we're going to go back and forth. Like if I think what I said wasn't wrong, I'm going to keep going until you stop. And there's been times where that, you know, devolved into like an argument or whatever, but that's just where it goes. So I guess you're saying you don't want to have the conflict. You're like, okay, well, if you're gonna talk shit about what I said or whatever, there's no point in going further.
I mean, we could do a question in a second. I feel like if it's a safe space, and I feel like in my own personal life, I have a safe space to talk about my feelings or
the
or
internet
my
ain't
thoughts.
safe.
Yeah, and so but there's a lot of people who don't have a safe space, who don't have the network of people to say their frustration, and the women in their lives not shut them down. So they do go to social media to be able to talk, and then they are ridiculed or shit on for their opinion. So yeah, that's just how I feel about it. So
Ebony said, I have a question. When you are talking to people or explaining or otherwise, do you take into account the knowledge and expertise of the person you are talking to, or do you just spit what you have to say regardless of acknowledgement of who you are talking to? For example, you have a comment about veganism. Do you comment with regard to the fact that I'm plant-based, or do you talk based on what you have to say regardless of my position of understanding of this topic?
So for me, I always try to understand that I am not the smartest person. Typically, I'm probably not the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
And whoever I'm talking to, they have expertise on any kind of subject. I'm a listener naturally.
Yeah.
Like I know I do a podcast, but if anyone has ever seen me functioning at events or circles or whatnot, I'm never the one talking the most. Like I'm always listening. And I think like when you're talking to people, at least for me, I do take into account that person's experiences or their expertise on the matter. Now that doesn't mean that I will always agree with it. Like you can say what your fact is, yes, but I know that the farms are bad for the chickens. Every chicken's not a cage free, and they're getting their heads cut off. Am I still gonna eat the chicken? Yeah, absolutely, eat the chicken. But I appreciate you telling me about the information about it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do try to take into account that person's expertise.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I definitely take into account if it's an area that they have expertise in, because just like Jay said, I'm not gonna say I'm an expert at everything. There are certain areas where I would definitely assert myself a little more,
for sure.
But if someone else is more experienced in a certain thing, then I'm not gonna completely discount what they're saying. I might, like you said, I might not agree with it. I might not, put it into practice in my life, but but I'm not gonna discount what they're saying to me though.
So Ebony says, I asked this because my experience is that Men often act like experts on shit they have bare minimum understanding. This happens much more with white men, but men in general approach conversations as experts. Here's what I'll say for me. I know I have this confidence about myself that I feel like I could probably figure out anything if I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you put me in a spaceship and was like, make this motherfucker fly, I'm like, I can probably do that. So because I have that mentality, whether I can do it or not, because I have that in my mind, in any given subject, I will try to work through it while I'm talking about it. And that can definitely push me into the realm of mansplaining, where it's like, I don't really know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I'm thinking it through, processing it as I'm talking. And depending on who I'm talking to, it might, like, I would sound like an idiot, especially if they know significantly more and what I'm saying doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But so I can see how that would go for me. I feel like I don't know the other side of it about like men who I think there's a like I think Donald Trump is a notorious mansplainer where he talks about things that he doesn't know about all the time, just consistently. You know what I mean? Just lets that shit go. So that's the far side of it.
I mean, just from my perspective, I think it might be just like a cultural thing where men are always taught that you have to be confident, even if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You have to act like you know what you're doing and be confident and make, and be able to make these decisions. And you know what I mean? Like, so I think that might be a side effect. Mansplaining might be a side effect of that aspect of how men are raised,
Right.
I think to Ebony's point is like, I think most people will experience mansplaining from white men. And can it be what is it called when a white man mansplains to a black man? Is that the same term?
White-splaining.
White-splaining, but are we just making up that word?
No, that's
a real thing.
Yeah, it's on Wikipedia.
Yeah. So I guess
it's on Wikipedia. It got to be a thing.
Yeah, I think in corporate America, unfortunately, a lot of men are going to feel like they know more than a woman, even because I think we all can testify that we've seen people in corporate America who are not the managers, right? But a woman is a manager or a CEO or not. Mm-hmm. And they think that man thinks he knows more than that CEO. Like she got there for a reason.
Right.
Like maybe shut the fuck up and listen to what she has to say, what she's doing. Right. But maybe to your point, Justin, maybe it is because of how we were raised that to always, lead with in any room that you're in.
Yeah. We're taught that about everything, even when it comes to like dating. Like when you go talk to a woman, like what do they say? Be confident. You always got to be confident in everything you do. You got to be confident. Like, so it's just in, you know what I mean? It's just kind of built in, no matter, what race you are as a man, to try to be confident, even if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Right.
Especially if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Especially. Yeah, there's this whole thing about men that I think men teach other men, like fathers to sons, is that you have to just figure shit out. You have to just work through it. Like you hit a wall and you just got to find a way to power past it, because that's life. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the things that we're taught. So when you in a room and all the women are smarter than you and you feel like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, you're like, well, I gotta be the most confident person in this room.
I gotta piss on these walls.
Yeah.
But isn't that part of the problem though? Is like we teach everyone teaching, and even today, like you hear it all over social media, a man has to lead, a man has to lead, a man has to lead. You got to be the provider. You got to boom, 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 boom.
And then you also have a bunch of women on social media talk about, I want a man that leads.
That's dominant. That's more dominate. So it's like, I think that's part of the problem though. That's part of the problem.
So if I do that, I'm mansplaining. But if I don't, then
I think the key is though.
Mansplaining if you do, mansplaining if you don't.
I think the key is though, if you're leading and you're always condescending to your woman or to your lady, that's where the problem becomes. So like, don't disregard her opinion or her perspective. But I don't want to be in a relationship where my opinion is the only thing that matters.
Right.
Or I gotta lead in every category. So I think the key with like avoiding mansplaining is being able to listen, right? Just listen first before you just talk. Before you get off what you get off. Like listen to what they're saying.
Listening is the key piece that is missing from mansplaining, because obviously you're talking, and if you listened enough, you would understand that this person knows more than you think that they know. So whatever you're telling them is not even need to be said, you know? So it starts with listening for sure.
Yo, I'll fully admit this, and my girl catches me in this shit all the time. I'll be 100% confident that I know some shit, right?
And she Google it or something.
And she Googles that shit. And she's like, yo, look at this. I'm like,
back in the day, you had to take that word for it. Now it's like, nah, that don't sound right. Let me go ahead and Google this a little bit.
I'm just sitting there with the boo-boo face, just
yeah.
You know what I mean? But I mean, you know, you got to just be like, all right, you got it.
So have y'all ever been called out by like your woman or anyone in the past as like, hey, you're mansplaining
every day?
Oh, every day.
Every
day. But is it really mansplaining though? That's what I'm saying though. Like it's not always mansplaining. I'm just telling you how, like for example,
I'm just trying
there'll be one, two times.
I'm just trying to teach you something. I did a Facebook post, a fucking Facebook post that said, hey, we need some ladies to call in on the podcast to talk about mansplaining. But listen, you can't be long-winded, blah, blah, blah. This is what, blah, blah. Someone came in and said, you just mansplaining. No, I fucking didn't. I'm telling you the rules of the engagement. Like, that's not mansplaining. You can't get on here and talk for 15, 20 minutes. You're not part of the podcast. Yeah. You're not a podcast host. That's not mansplaining. But I think every day people think that you're mansplaining because you're talking about what the rules are.
I think mansplaining, just like a lot of terms, you know,
it's just like woke.
Newer terms.
It's just like woke.
Like woke is one of them.
Now everybody says everything is woke.
And everything that people point to as woke is not woke. But now that politicians are talking about it, it's not even cool no more. Why are we still talking about this? So yeah, everything's it just gets classified as mansplaining. Yeah.
But so Miko has a point there. There's a double standard. When women are brazenly confident, we're often perceived very differently.
Yeah,
that's
for sure. I think there are a lot of men that are intimidated by confident women that are confident about their shit and how they carry themselves, and it does take a man secure in his own rights to be able to handle a woman like that.
So I'm going to talk about something in order to talk about this, but I've always felt like I can't be super emotional in my relationship because I think women monopolize a lot of the emotional aspect of what, you know, like most of the emotions in a relationship. So it leaves little room for me. So on the other side, I feel like men monopolize the confidence. So when a woman comes in and she's like really confident, it makes a man feel less, you know what I mean? And we're expected to feel more confident. So if you show up and you make me feel small, I'm gonna be small, you know what I mean? Even though I feel like I'm supposed to be big, or everything in society is telling me that I'm supposed to be big.
But I don't think you should feel small just by a confident woman. I think if the woman is talking to me in a condescending way, that's when I start to feel small, and that's where the fighting and the argument is going to break down, because ain't nobody gonna talk to me in a condescending way. I don't care how much I love you. Like that's
a slippery slope, because I know for me in my relationship, I get in most of my relationships, I've been accused of being condescending in so many ways, and I never really felt like I was being that way. So it's really just perceptive, depending on how a woman talks or how a woman might talk to you. It might seem like she's condescending you, but she's just. I also think though, if you are dealing with someone, or if you're dating a woman who gets easily defensive just by conversation in general, anything that you say is going to seem like you're mansplaining something to her. And like, I've definitely dated women where it's like I felt like I couldn't say anything without her getting defensive and mad. And like, you're always telling me what to do. I'm not really telling you what to do. So that's one thing. Like, I try to avoid dating like younger women, right? Because as an older gentleman, you date somebody younger, they often think that you're trying to teach them or educate them on something just because you got age on them. Just like, don't mansplain to me about this experience I'm going through. Yeah. I'm like, but I kind of went through it. Like, can I not tell you what I went through so you can understand, like, maybe how to avoid this? It's not me
being condescending.
I get what you're saying.
So it's your personal experience being viewed as an attack.
Yeah,
So
I think that happens too.
I get what you're saying, but in those situations, and I learned this with my girl, most people don't learn things until they do it. So like when you try to explain something to somebody, they can't even see the other side of what you're even talking about. The idea that if I walk this route, there's a fucking monster at the end of it. Like I've been there before, but they're like, what? I'm me. So we're going to see what happens. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So you kind of just got to let people make their mistakes. That's part of the issue with mansplaining. And that's where I get into trouble because I'm very solution oriented. I'm trying to solve problems. Yeah. That is what I do on my day job, and that is what I do all day in my life. It's exhausting, but it's what I feel like I have to do. So when I reach a problem and I'm trying to solve it, sometimes she's just like, I'll figure it out. Leave me alone. You know.
So okay, we say Justin.
No, I was just gonna say, Ebony posted on here. Do you go into relationships keeping your feelings small to make space for a woman's feelings? Because if so, I recommend you need to
take up more space. Absolutely,
take up more space emotionally.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I think
that's tricky.
I think it should be.
But
you should go into it. You should go into it as yourself. Don't hide anything.
We are entitled.
No.
We are entitled to emotional
I am
space.
an emotional person. For me, what happens is there's a lot of conflict because of this. Because I am a very emotional person, and I think a lot of women are very emotional. I mean, some women are not, but the person that I'm with, she's emotional, I'm emotional, and we can't both be emotional at the same time. Once upon a time, I was in a relationship with someone who had anxiety. And I, at the time, had anxiety. And I realized that relationship wasn't going to work because we can't both be anxious. Somebody has to be cool right now because somebody got to drive the car. Somebody got to get us home. You know what I mean? So emotionally speaking, there's times where I feel like I definitely have to take a back seat, and this is common. I think in most relationships, men are not expected to be emotional at all. We just kind of take a back seat.
That's trash, by the way.
But it's cultural. It's trash, but it's cultural. It's common. It's been a thing for a long time.
I'm trying to break that thing. That's why I'm saying fucking single right now. So.
Well, we was talking about it earlier, and I feel like these kids are gonna be completely different. Like I feel like kids now are allowed to be as open and free as they need to. So I think that'll be good. Going back to womansplaining, in addition to mansplaining, are there any other types of splaining that y'all can think of? I got a few here. But...
I mean, that was the question I was going to ask. Like, does womansplaining exist? Is that a real thing, or can it not exist because?
I think I want to hear from the comments.
I think it can exist.
Can it not exist only because we are coming from women come from a very unequal place in society, right? We're trying to get more equal rights and stuff. So can it only be mansplaining? Can it be another term for them being condescending to us? It's like saying like it's like a white person is being racist, right? But they say, well, you being racist to us. We're like, well, we can't be racist because this is a situation in society that y'all have placed upon us. Is that similar with like mansplaining? Men being in the more dominant position, you know what I mean?
That's a good question. I don't know. Like, kind of like how you like, black people can't be racist because
I don't think women can womansplain. I don't feel like that's real. I feel like the other side of mansplaining is complaining. I feel like women complain and men mansplain. Like women will explain stuff or whatever, but I don't feel like they do it in a way that not culturally the way that men do. You know what I mean? Like it's not common. You could point to like maybe some instances of womansplaining, but it probably doesn't even compare to the amount of mansplaining there is. But complaining, women complain a lot, like way more than men do by far.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing that I feel like I experience is in my relationship, my woman is definitely a notorious complainer, and I feel like she considers me a notorious mansplainer.
So, okay. So my question is, if a woman is in, say a woman is in a position of power in your cipher, right? Could she not mansplain to you or womansplain to you? Just totally discount your essence.
What do you mean in a position of power?
I feel like she can though.
Like say she's your boss, right?
Yeah, she could say whatever she wants.
That's what I'm saying. She could cut you off. She could, you know what I mean? She could just take whatever you just said and regurgitate it and take credit for it. Like she could, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so why can't mansplaining be a blanket term for anyone who
I think it's mansplaining because it's a lot more common for men to be in those patriarchal positions like Ebony was saying, to where they do it to, you know, they do it to that effect.
So there has to be an existence of power in order for it to be mansplaining?
Does it have to be a position of power?
I don't think it has to be. I don't think it has to be as far as I don't think it has to be as far as men mansplaining, because we're just so used to doing that shit.
Focus on that.
But as far as women doing it, I think it does.
No, I was just gonna
what the
pull that up. That's all. I was just pulling that up. That's all. You said so a position of power.
Can I have that back, please?
You can Remy having issues with control issue. It's hard to do both, Remy. Hard to do both.
Yeah,
I'm doing both just fine. I was looking at Ebony's comments, which says, "No, she can be a bitch." That's the opposite of mansplaining. Is bitch.
Well, yeah.
Which
that
I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna agree with that or
because
endorse
if I
that.
say that, then I'm mansplaining, right?
So yes, it exists in areas that are deemed in traditionally female, like some things related to parenting or caregiving.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right. What else y'all got for mansplaining?
Let me see here. Let me see what else I got on here.
So, can you name any famous people who have been accused of mansplaining? Or who would you say is a popular figure who would be considered probably a notorious mansplainer?
I mean, the obvious is always going to be Kanye, right? But
Yeah,
I think that's an
definitely.
obvious one to everyone. Donald Trump, obviously. Almost always going to be celebrities. I'm trying to think of other people who yeah. Who else do y'all think? Because I think Kanye is obviously the top one. But I think he disagrees with anyone though
Anybody who doesn't fully agree with him.
Yeah.
Was Kevin Samuels a mansplainer?
Kevin Samuels.
Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby, yeah, absolutely.
Was Bill Cosby a mansplainer, or was he just a drug you type?
I mean, but before all of that,
pop you a pill.
Before all of that, he definitely had this air of like trying to tell people how to be.
Yeah, that's true.
Rather than letting people be who they were. You know,
he was the one you could ask him, "Hey, Bill, let me get some candy." He'd be like, "Well, let me tell you about that. Let me tell you about all this stuff."
Are comedians mansplainers?
Some can be, I think.
I think it depends on their.
I mean,
it depends on how it's intended.
Yeah, I don't think comedy can be considered mansplaining because comedy is for the sake of a joke. So if I mansplain to somebody and I'm trying to make it funny, I don't think that that's me mansplaining. I mean, unless it's like to the detriment of somebody, then it's a little different.
Unless it's kind of like mean spirited type thing.
Right.
Yeah. So
yes. So the news has called mansplainers out, such as Mitt Romney, President Donald Trump, Governor of Texas Rick Perry, MSNBC host Lawrence O'Donnell, music executive Jimmy Iovine, the Australian Prime Minister, and also actor Matt Damon. So much so that Damonsplaining is apparently a thing. There's at least two headlines out there called Damonsplaining. So. Matt Damon is not having a good decade. I have not
thought about Matt Damon being a mansplainer. I guess I don't really listen to his interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's.
I like him in movies, but I don't really listen.
But I imagine though, like in Hollywood, that Hollywood probably has some of the most notorious mansplainers of all time.
Right.
We just don't hear about it. Like you think about like people who are producers and directors, and maybe that the actor has a better idea how to do this script or how to do this active scene, and the producer's like, no, this is the better way to do it. Blah blah blah. It's like, well, okay, I can't say anything. So I imagine like Hollywood to be notorious for like mansplaining,
right?
And that industry in general.
Well, any industry that's probably male dominated. Like I haven't experienced it personally, but like as a developer, I could see a lot of mansplaining going on in that room. but most of the developers I'm around, you don't really see it.
Yeah, I haven't really seen it too much in my area either.
I do think Kevin Samuels was the mansplainer though. I do think he was, because
his whole thing,
because if you stick to the definition of mansplaining being condescending, he was very condescending to a lot of women in his retorts or his responses. So he was very
His whole
he
thing.
He mansplained a lot.
His whole thing was call in and I will tell you what the fuck is wrong with you.
Yeah,
If
pretty
that
much.
ain't a mansplain, I don't know what is. However,
But can you voluntarily walk into a mansplain?
so that's what I was gonna say. However, is it mansplaining if it's welcome? Like if somebody wants to, well, I mean, I don't think they necessarily want to know, because if you watch some of the videos, sometimes he's telling them things and they're like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? But
well, I mean,
for him, he
everybody
feels like
thinks they're a 10.
He feels like he's helping them. He feels like he's giving them information that they need, which is I think the line is blurred. Sometimes it can delve into mansplaining, especially if somebody they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like if they give a fuck, then I guess it's fine. But you know.
So Ebony pointed out that the list that you just gave was over indexed with white men.
Yeah. Well, I was just from Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me about all of the black mansplainers.
Pull up Robin's comment.
Would y'all be mad if you found out, like,
I believe women explaining is a thing. I found myself explaining my point over and over in different ways to try to convince a man I was right or his thoughts / feelings were totally wrong until I was told one day, you can stop explaining because I know what you're saying. I'm just not going to feel the same. At that point, I said, wow, and that's okay because my feelings are no more important than yours. Fight over. So, yeah. So
is that woman's planning? Is that mansplaining or woman's planning, or is that just a difference of opinion on something? Because I mean, I think you can have a difference of opinion, you know, in relationships and
sure,
work relationships and whatever. And it doesn't have to necessarily be condescending or mansplaining or anything like that. It's just that, okay, I understand what you're saying. I just don't agree with you. You know,
like I would never want to get into a point in a relationship where I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. Like I've done that at work. I think a lot of us who have worked in corporate America for a long time sometimes feel like you're walking on eggshells at work. Like you can't say certain things, you can't do certain things because if you do, it's going to tilt the scale, right? And so, like in a relationship, like I don't want to feel like I can't say how I feel. And if we get to a point where you are making your emotions or how you feel smaller in order to protect the relationship, then I think that's a problem.
Yeah,
because we should never feel like we have to do that. And unfortunately, there are a lot of women who think they're always right. Right.
That's very true.
I don't know a single woman who has ever thought she was wrong.
So if you think you're always right, and I'm trying to explain to you that you're not right, that is not me mansplaining. That's me saying, oh, well, listen, you're not right on this situation. But maybe we don't look at it from a right or wrong perspective. But I don't know. I guess I've been in a relationship where I was like, well, I'm not going to say nothing about this topic or this situation because I know.
Luckily for us, there's this thing called Google.
Yeah,
where you could look up anything in minutes. I know my girl does it to me all the time. So yeah, you can definitely look it up.
For sure.
I'm rarely wrong. Yeah.
I believe you. I believe you.
Yeah.
So what do y'all think the key is to, like, whether you're at work, if someone is at work or in a relationship and they feel like someone they work closely with is always mansplaining to them, what should they do? Like, how do they work around that?
Get another job.
That's tricky. That's very tricky.
So,
because you know, like somebody else from the exterior, I'm not really gonna have like I can't just go up to your job and fix it. You know what I mean? And like if they're being mansplained to, like outside of quitting or changing that circumstance somehow, there's not really, if someone says report it to HR, you could, but then they're gonna be, HR might mansplain you again.
But I don't even know if HR is even up to I don't know the word I'm looking for, up to par with understanding what mansplaining is. They know what being retaliated against is. They know what sexual harassment is, But if you go to HR, and this is me, I've never obviously gone to HR with mansplaining because I'm a man, right? But if a woman goes to HR and says, hey, I feel like my boss or this person is just mansplaining, well, is HR going to be able to understand what that is, and how would HR be able to document that?
I don't think they would know it by the term of mansplaining, but they would know it because I mean it's a form of, I guess you could say it's like a form of discrimination. If they're constantly being interrupted, they're constantly being, you know, overlooked, they're constantly being like there's a lot of things. So you could look at that as a form of discrimination because they're a woman, you know, or even
that's
like,
true,
or even
that's
like
true.
You know, especially if it's a black woman,
yeah,
you know, there's a lot of different there's a lot of different things where they get kind of minimalized.
For sure.
Because like they can't be as forward or as aggressive or as, you know, whatever, because they're a black woman. They want you to not be that, or you get seen as like the mad black woman kind of syndrome,
right.
You know. So it's a
slippery slope for sure.
It is.
Obviously you feel like your job is being threatened because of your manager or someone you work directly with. You got to report it, because again, you don't want to feel like you can't be yourself or say how you feel or even give your expertise, because then you start questioning yourself all the time. Like you question, like I have a manager where I work, where I always feel like whatever I send this person, all they're gonna do is just change it and put it and do it themselves, and then they'll ping me and say certain things. It's like, oh, you should do it this way, or you should do it this way. I did it that way, and I'm like, well, you should just do the thing yourself. Then I get frustrated, right?
Yeah, why'd you have me do it in the first place?
Yeah, and so I think a lot of women probably feel the same way sometimes, where it's like they're tasked with responsibilities, and they do those responsibilities, but if they want to do it a different way or say this is how it should be done, that someone else is going to come and say, well, this is better this way, and this is why we're going to do it this way. And so I don't want to say I can relate to what women go through with mansplaining, but I can say as a black man in corporate America, I don't always feel like my expertise or my opinion or my tactics, not tactics, but
you kind of feel
what I do is being respected.
You're kind of able to feel the same thing, maybe to a lesser degree.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's still there.
Yeah,
you know, it's not as prevalent as it is with women. Because I know I feel that. You know, I feel that sometimes too, where it's just like, you know what, I'm just like, I just said that shit. Like, like you really, okay.
And then social media, man. Like I said, I really do want to get. I really, as someone who is a content creator, me silencing myself is not the best thing, right? But I also don't want to argue. Like I don't want to fight. I don't want to feel like I'm the problem or I'm mansplaining everything. And I find myself on social media less and less these days. And I don't know if it's a good thing, but a lot of that comes from, I do think women need to reimagine or re-examine what they call mansplaining, because the moment you start having men feel silenced, then you really don't have any good conversations happening at all.
Yeah.
Right. It's like what's that? What they say? Like in your bubble, people only know what's happening in their bubble because they only talk to the same like-minded people, and they never grow. But if you never get to have a conversation with the opposite sex about their opinions, or they're over silencing ourselves, then no one's growing, and the needle's not moving. You know. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you can't get to the point where you feel like you can't talk about something just because of the reaction that you're gonna get. Like because, like you said, eventually it's gonna get to a point where you can't. Well, you're not gonna even know what they're talking about. You know, like okay, they're gonna be asking for a man's opinion, and no man's gonna answer. You know,
man's gonna answer, and you start to see that now. Like if you see like on comments and posts, like you almost don't. I see
it where it was like, fellas, get some advice on this, and nobody answers.
Nobody answers.
You know?
And then in our private text or conversations, we're like, bro, I'm not even answering that because I already know it's not gonna be it's not gonna be taken well.
Yeah.
Or whatnot. So it's a problem. It's definitely a problem. Remy, anything else?
How can men become more aware of their communication styles and avoid engaging in mansplaining?
Like I said, I think the best thing to do is just listen more. Listen more. Try not to get defensive by what your woman is saying to you or whichever woman it is. I used to be very angry at the world. Like I was just an angry person. I was frustrated. I was mad, and I didn't take advice well. I used to really have a problem taking advice from women I was dating. And I didn't even know I had a problem taking advice from women I was dating until I had like 3 people who didn't have a conversation with one another say, "Oh, you got a problem with women giving you advice." Right? The first time someone said it was like I was like 26. And I was like, "No, I don't. I ain't got no fucking problem with women giving me advice that I'm dating." And then 2 other people said it, and I was like, "Oh, I might have a problem." Right? But so reevaluate your stool that you step on, your bubble, whatever, so that you can take in the advice and not be defensive. So just listen first, self-reflect, and see how you can try to understand the situation before responding. That's what I would say.
I think it's mainly just be thoughtful in your response to different things, and then also never think you're too good for self-evaluation. Like if somebody says something about you, you know, if a bunch of people call me an asshole, I'm probably being an asshole.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like even though I don't think I'm being an asshole, like it's not up to me. It's up to other people. So, just always kind of be able to take criticism from other people and don't take it personally. Just like be like, okay, maybe I need to kind of look at myself and see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say for me, I don't think I mansplain a lot, but I think when I'm doing it, I definitely don't know that I'm doing it. And I definitely probably can't be convinced that I'm doing it because I feel like I'm being attacked. But but I think the more stories I hear from women about their experience as far as how they feel someone has mansplained to them would help me. So I would be interested in just hearing more people tell their story. Like if you feel like something, an instance where whether it was in your relationship or with your boss or just some random motherfucker just talking down to you in some kind of way that you felt was mansplaining, then I would be interested in hearing that story, and then I can tell you whether or not that was mansplaining, because I'm a chronic mansplainer.
You know what? I just thought of something.
What's that?
Like men get mansplained to,
of course,
from older men. Mostly. When you're young, that's what
I don't think we take it as mansplaining.
We used to call them the old heads, and they would just be like,
"Hey,
come here, young blood. Let me tell you what you're supposed to do. You're like, I ain't listening to your old ass.
You gonna wear them shoes with that shirt? Come on, boy.
Yeah. That just, that just clicked in my head.
Well, yeah, I'd say if I'm a mansplainer at all, I definitely get it from my father. Yeah. Being raised by my father is like my sole parent. That is the reason that I would be a mansplainer at all, because he definitely mansplained shit to me. And to me, I can handle it because I'm his son. But when he talks to my sister, she doesn't want to hear him talk for more than like 5 minutes because she's like, everything you say is a mansplaining.
And that's what I'm saying. I think this is like been passed on through generations. Like I was saying earlier, like that's just how we've been built to this point, and it's been the norm, but now it's not. So we need to
evolve.
We have to evolve, recognize it and adjust. You know what I mean?
Men need to be allowed to evolve and change just as much as any other demographic. And other men have to allow other men to also evolve and say, hey, bro, like we doing this thing different now. You might want to get on board, because a lot of times it's not just women like giving us shit for our issue. Just other men saying like, "Yo, this is you doing it wrong." Like you said, OGs or whatnot, or other men, your own peers, is stuck in the past and stuck in old ways. So,
and I think what it comes down to also is that men are. I mean, just like with anything else, you know what I mean? Like the men are going to have to be the ones that help to stop it. You know what I mean? Because like, okay, in a situation where a woman's getting mansplained at work, if a peer of that other guy comes back and says, "Nah, dude, like you're wrong," then he's gonna be like, "Okay, well maybe I'm wrong," know. So I think men are gonna have to be participants in the solution, But that's
I think it's rare for men to check other men, especially if it's not your homie, or something,
right?
And I think most men don't want to like stick your nose in someone else's business or something's going on. So unless that man comes to you,
I know me. I'm like, man, fuck that dude.
Like he don't know me. He don't know me. So so we want to know what your thoughts on mansplaining. You can always leave us a voice prompt on Spotify. Go to Spotify, look at the link in the episode where you can leave a voice prompt, or go to Anchor. Go to Anchor profile.
Miko dropped us a mansplaining chart.
I'm gonna check it out.
Check that out.
I'm gonna learn.
I ain't taking that shit.
I'm gonna learn because we get better every day on this podcast. I'm gonna learn how to not mansplain no more.
I actually don't feel like I mansplain that much, man. I probably don't mansplain enough. I don't feel like
you should mansplain some more.
I just be like, yo, a lot of time I let people talk themselves like out of the situation, and then someone is being like rude, or I ain't gonna go into it. That's a whole nother episode. So let's get into our final episode, man. Final segment. Let's get into method lessons.
Reading is fundamental. Now let's get on with this school thing. You teach.
So this is a segment where we talk about just something we learned recently. And I'm going to let Justin go first.
All right. So y'all all know I'm going to Japan on Friday. I've said it a couple times. So there's a couple things that I learned, right? One of them is that a lot of the medicine that we take here, you can't take over there. Like cold medicine, anything with acetaminophen in it, like it is completely illegal. Like go to jail.
Is it considered like bad for your health? Is that why it's illegal?
I think so. Just like... Yeah. It's because let me see what it says here. I got because I looked this up because I have a couple of different medications and stuff like that I take. So I was looking. You don't
want to get hemmed up over there.
Yeah, I was just trying to make sure I'm not trying to end up like Brittany Griner.
Be in Russia, be stuck.
So I was checking on it, and a common ingredient in many over-the-counter cold and flu medicines in the U.S., pseudoephedrine is illegal. It doesn't say why, but I think it's because it's some kind of stimulant that
people
they say it could be easily abused, and so they don't sell it. Which is why you have to, like when you get certain medicines at the pharmacy, even if they're over the counter, you have to like show your ID and stuff like that. So yeah.
Now, it makes sense, but it's always good to check what you can take and what you can't take in other countries, because I think a lot of times we get so stuck in our own world. Yeah. You think everyone else is doing it, and that's not the case. Like, damn, like I can't.
Yeah, that's right, because you can make meth with it. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Damn, meth is. We're making meth.
We're making meth. Pass the meth.
Well, make sure you check all your boxes. Make sure you don't get.
I'm not bringing none of that. So another one that was on there was Adderall. You can't take that over there.
That makes sense.
That's highly potential.
We got so many people
abuse and addiction.
We got so many people addicted on Adderall here in the United States, so I understand that 100%.
Codeine.
You ever met somebody addicted to Adderall?
No, I haven't. Or maybe I did and I didn't notice.
So crazy. Like they.
Like shaky?
What's the one when people fall asleep? It's a drug that people fall asleep on. It's like, I don't think it's Adderall. Adderall gives them the upper. That's the upper. Codeine.
That's the codeine. Yeah, that's illegal too. That's illegal too. So, and the one that shocked the hell out of me, nutmeg is illegal.
What?
Nutmeg.
Whoa. Nutmeg.
Yeah. So if you thinking about putting a little nutmeg on your,
Just a
on
little,
your
you want a little
custard,
extra
you know
on
what I
your-
mean? Like, nah,
That's
Nah,
wild.
get
Nah,
that shit out
it
of
ain't
here.
happening.
It's
It ain't
illegal.
happening.
Whoa.
While not technically a drug,
what-
nutmeg contains a compound called myristicin,
Hmm.
which can have hallucinogenic effects in high doses.
So what you're saying, I can get high off of nutmeg. I need to
I'm
figure out
stopped
how,
at the store on
I
the
need
way
to figure out how
home.
to get some nutmeg so I can get
Whoa.
high off of nutmeg.
You know what I mean? Like
What
you
if-
got to eat the whole thing of nutmeg.
Damn, the whole bottle.
The whole thing.
bottle.
What
Just
about
down the hatch.
marijuana?
Marijuana is completely illegal.
Completely
too.
illegal.
Yeah.
Mm.
They don't have no
you can't
fun.
Even,
over
you can't
there?
even say marijuana.
Mm.
Wow.
I don't know if it was codeine or not. I can't remember what. You know, Florida was really big for illegal pill mills at one point in time. But I remember when I first moved here, I was my homeboy, who was my roommate at the time, was dating this girl, and he was like, "Yo, so and so's coming over here. She gonna bring her friend because she wanna talk to you."
Oh, the old
I was
friend
like,
of a
"All right,
friend.
cool. I'm down with it. I'm with it, bro." So they come over, right? This chick could barely keep her eyes open the whole time in like middle of a conversation.
Mhm.
So I'm sitting there talking to her. Next thing I know, I look over, she's asleep. She's just knocked out. And then she'll wake up. Yeah. So I'm like,
You're like, did you
I'm like Jason. I'm texting him like, bro.
you're like, did you Bill
you hooked
Cosby
me up.
yourself?
Yeah, it was so bad. I literally got up and went in my room. She had no idea. It was like she was sleep, wake up, sleep, wake up. I'm like, how are you functioning?
Yeah.
So it was just really bad. So I can
Yeah.
understand why any of those drugs are illegal. So
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that was a surprise to me. So
Remy, you want me to go?
Yeah.
So I didn't really have a method lesson this week, method heads. So luckily, Remy had this book that he talked about a few weeks ago called Life Hacks. So I wanted to learn something. And the thing I learned was life hack number 712. 712. That was a great group. Wasn't that a group? Well, that was 71.
It was 112.
No, it was one.
You're
That
talking
was
about the
112.
girl
The girl group. What was the girl group? 708.
Seven
something.
Was it? I don't know what it was.
702, I think.
702.
702.
That's what it was. Yeah.
I don't know. It was 7 something.
Yeah. Remy, you know. Don't act like you don't know.
What area code is that? That area code?
I don't
Houston. I feel like
even
it's
know.
Houston.
Yeah, it might
I
be.
think it's
I
Houston.
know.
Is that in the survival section?
What is 7?
Yeah, that's in the survival section right there.
702 was
So this life hack, you can only try it once. Because
So
if
these
don't
life
work-
hacks are in the survival,
if it don't work, you ain't
survival
gonna make
chapter.
it.
So number 712, if you get buried under snow by an avalanche, spit and saliva will follow gravity. Dig the opposite way. So avalanche hits you, you don't know if you get
you don't know
tumbled
which
or
way is
whatnot.
up or down.
So it says
That's-
spit.
yeah.
So spit. You're like, so if it goes down,
then you got to dig
you
up.
gotta dig up.
That's brilliant.
Brilliant. So that's my method lesson. Remy,
And
what's
remember,
yours?
you can only try this once.
You can only try it once.
I mean, technically,
If you in a rare
technically
situation,
you can do
you
this
can
again
spin,
if
I
you
guess.
don't if you survive,
Right, that's true.
yeah.
right, and then that shit happen again. Technically,
Yeah.
you can do it again. But most people, I think, from avalanche, what I've seen, can't even move. Like their
Yeah.
arms are buried. But I don't know.
All right.
If you in a rare situation, what if you just like in a gravitational void and in this avalanche and your spit goes the wrong way,
You just digging
you
down.
done.
You better
Done.
spit twice. You better don't
You know
go
what
with
I'm
one
saying?
use case.
You found the one wormhole on Earth to have an avalanche in.
I think most of them carry those beacons now. People
Yeah.
can find them. What's your method lesson, Mr.
My
Mermaid?
method lesson is that 702 is the area code of Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
They were from Las
I
Vegas.
I just learned that just now.
They were Las Vegas.
Thank you, Gerard, for that information. I had already
Yeah.
Googled it and you just mansplained that to me, but that's all
You know what
right.
I mean?
Shout out to Gerard. Also a notorious mansplainer. I'm just playing.
J-Rod the MC.
It was 702.
J Rod the MC.
Go get J Rod's new album, Mansplaining, coming out soon.
Now we got to get J Rod on the podcast so he can
Hey,
defend
man.
himself.
Next week, we will be talking about Black health, actually, Black health. And so we have a couple doctors
Oh wow!
coming
yeah.
on to the pod to discuss. So we're excited about that.
While my man Justin's
Justin
in
is
Japan,
in
not
Japan-
taking no
in
medications,
Japan.
You know what I
with
mean?
no type of drugs.
You see what it takes? It takes 2 doctors to replace me.
right?
Man, that's
You know what I mean?
that's some big shoes to fill,
I'm
man.
telling you.
So yeah, we appreciate y'all checking in with us this week. And we're gonna say that the liquor make you talk quicker. We say M is for
Mostly
E is for
Everybody.
E is for
talking.
H is for
honestly.
O is for
Over.
D is for
drinks.
Till next week, y'all. Holla.
So that was wild. And that was just a taste. We do this every week. Just check out last week's episode.
He's right. That was wild. And you can catch last week's episode, the video episode.